Captain Daeho Kim shifted uncomfortably on the medical examination table. The metal surface creaked under his massive weight. At 7 feet tall with a 12-foot wingspan, the draconian officer barely fit in the human-sized medical bay. His emerald scales, dulled by age and countless battles, caught the harsh light of the examination room. "This is a waste of time," Daeho grumbled. His deep voice rumbled like distant thunder. "I have battle plans to review." Nurse Hannah Park looked up from her tablet with a patient smile. She was new to Coalition Medical Station 7, having transferred from Earth just 6 months ago. At 5'4", she looked tiny next to the Dragon Warrior, but her calm confidence never wavered. "Captain Kim, your medical check is long overdue," she said. 3 years overdue, according to your records." Daeho snorted, a small puff of smoke escaping his nostrils. "Draconians do not need frequent medical attention like humans. We heal quickly. We live for centuries." "Even so, Coalition regulations apply to all species," Hannah replied, tapping something on her tablet. "Your last commanding officer noted you've been favoring your left wing during flight exercises." The dragon's yellow eyes narrowed. "Commander Tay is too observant for his own good." Hannah set down her tablet and approached the massive creature. Most humans would be terrified to stand so close to a draconian warrior. Their race had been feared across the galaxy for millennia, before joining the Coalition 50 years ago. Their natural armor, fire-breathing abilities, and warrior culture made them formidable allies, and before that, terrible enemies. "I need to examine your wing," Hannah said. "Please extend it fully." Daeho hesitated, then slowly stretched out his left wing. The leathery membrane expanded to its full 18-foot length, revealing a dark purple spot near the joint about the size of a dinner plate. "That's the spot you mentioned in your intake form?" Hannah asked, stepping closer. "Yes, it is nothing. A battle scar that has changed color with age. I have many." Hannah pulled a small scanner from her pocket and held it over the discoloration. Her brow furrowed as she studied the readings. "How long have you had this spot, Captain?" Daeho shifted again. "I noticed it 3 months ago. It was smaller then. And has it been painful?" "Draconians do not concern themselves with minor discomforts." Hannah looked up at him, her expression serious. "That wasn't my question, Captain." The Dragon Warrior held her gaze for a long moment. Most beings would look away from a draconian stare, but this human didn't flinch. Finally, Daeho sighed, another small cloud of smoke rising from his nostrils. "At first, no. Lately, there has been some pain, and the wing feels heavy, numb in places." Hannah nodded and made some notes. "I'd like to take a tissue sample for analysis." "Is that necessary?" Daeho asked, his tail twitching with irritation. "Yes," Hannah said simply. She prepared a small device that looked like a silver pen. "This will sting for a moment, but it's important we know what we're dealing with." Before Daeho could protest further, Hannah pressed the device against the purple spot. It made a soft clicking sound. The dragon didn't flinch, but his massive claws gripped the edge of the examination table, leaving small dents in the metal. "Thank you," Hannah said, placing the sample in a small container. "The analysis will take about 20 minutes. Would you like some water while we wait?" Daeho shook his massive head. "No, tell me about yourself, human." "You are not afraid of me. Most of your kind are." Hannah smiled as she sent the sample through a pneumatic tube to the lab. "I grew up in New Seoul. My grandfather was among the first humans to make contact with the Coalition. He told me stories about Draconians, how your people saved 3 human colonies during the Nexus conflict." "The Nexus conflict," Daeho repeated, his yellow eyes growing distant. "That was long ago. I was just a young warrior then." "You fought in it?" "In the final battles, yes. My wing squadron helped evacuate the human settlement on Proxima Centauri 4. He stretched his right wing slightly. "That is where I got this scar." Hannah looked at the long, pale line that ran across his right wing. "You were injured saving humans?" "It was my duty," Daeho said simply. "The Nexus forces would have shown no mercy to your people." A soft chime interrupted their conversation. Hannah checked her tablet, her eyes widening as she read the results. "Captain Kim, I need to perform a more detailed scan of your wing," she said, her voice carefully controlled. "The preliminary results are concerning." Daeho's yellow eyes fixed on her face. "You have found something." It wasn't a question, but Hannah nodded anyway. "The tissue sample shows abnormal cell growth. I need to determine how far it has spread." The Dragon Warrior sat very still. "You believe it is serious?" I don't want to jump to conclusions before we have all the information, Hana said, already preparing a larger scanning device. Please extend your wing again and hold very still. Daeho complied without complaint this time. The scanner hummed softly as Hana moved it slowly over the entire surface of his wing, paying special attention to the purple spot and the surrounding area. Have you been near any unusual radiation sources recently? She asked as she worked. Or exposed to any unknown substances? Daeho thought for a moment. 6 months ago, my squadron investigated an abandoned mining facility on Kepler 22b. There was a containment breach in one of the storage units. We were cleared by medical after returning. Hana nodded, making mental notes as the scanner collected data. When it finished, she connected it to her tablet and studied the results. Her expression grew increasingly troubled. Captain, she said finally, looking up at the massive dragon, I need to consult with Dr. Jin. He's our xenobiology specialist. Tell me what you have found, human, Daeho demanded, his voice low and rumbling. I am a warrior. I do not fear bad news. Hana hesitated, then nodded. The scans show a growth spreading through the tissue of your wing. It appears to be affecting the nerve pathways, which explains the numbness you've been experiencing. It's similar to certain cancerous conditions we see in humans, but with some unusual characteristics. Can it be treated? Daeho asked bluntly. I believe so, Hana said, but I've never seen anything exactly like this before. That's why I need Dr. Jin's expertise, Daeho nodded once. Then call him. As Hana sent an urgent message to Dr. Jin, the dragon warrior stared at his wing, at the purple spot that had seemed so insignificant. After 30 years of surviving battles across the galaxy, after facing the most dangerous enemies the universe had to offer, could his end come from something so small? Dr. Jin will be here in 5 minutes, Hana said, interrupting his thoughts. In the meantime, I'd like to take some blood samples. The more information we have, the better we can fight this. Daeho looked at the small human nurse, seeing the determination in her eyes. You speak like a warrior. Hana smiled slightly as she prepared her equipment. In medicine, we fight different kinds of battles, Captain. But we fight them just as fiercely. For the first time since entering the medical bay, Daeho felt something other than irritation. It might have been respect. Or perhaps, though he would never admit it, a flicker of hope. Dr. Jin arrived exactly 5 minutes later, slightly out of breath. He was a tall, thin man with silver-streaked black hair and intelligent eyes behind round glasses. Unlike Nurse Hana, who showed no fear of the massive dragon, Dr. Jin paused briefly at the doorway before entering. Captain Kim, he said with a respectful bow. I am Dr. Sung-Min Jin, head of xenobiology at this station. Daeho nodded his massive head in acknowledgement. Doctor. Hana quickly showed Dr. Jin the scan results on her tablet. His eyebrows rose as he studied the images, occasionally swiping to see different angles of the mysterious growth. Fascinating, he murmured, and concerning. Have you ever seen anything like this before, Captain Kim, among your own kind? The dragon warrior shook his head. No, draconians rarely fall ill. We die in battle or of extreme old age. Dr. Jin nodded thoughtfully. Nurse Park, please prepare a full molecular analysis of the tissue sample. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. As Hana moved to a nearby workstation, Dr. Jin approached Daeho with a small handheld device. May I? He asked, gesturing toward the purple spot. Daeho extended his wing again. The doctor ran the device over the discolored area, his face growing more serious with each passing moment. The cells are mutating at an accelerated rate, he said. And there's something else. Something I haven't seen before. Hana looked up from her work. What is it? There appears to be some kind of microscopic crystalline structure embedded in the affected tissue. Dr. Jin adjusted his glasses. Captain, you mentioned a mining facility on Kepler 22b. What exactly were they mining there? Daeho's yellow eyes narrowed in thought. Rare minerals, primarily. The planet is rich in elements not found elsewhere in the sector. My squadron was sent to investigate after the facility went dark. And the containment breach you mentioned. Do you know what was being contained? The dragon's tail twitched. The facility records were damaged. We found no survivors to question. The Coalition Science Division took samples for study, but I never saw the results. Dr. Jin and Hana exchanged glances. I need to make a call, Dr. Jin said. Nurse Park, please continue with the analysis. As the doctor stepped out of the room, Hana returned to Daeho's side. How are you feeling, Captain? I am a warrior, Deho replied stiffly. My feelings are irrelevant. Hana smiled gently. Even warriors have feelings, Captain. And acknowledging them doesn't make you weak. The dragon was silent for a long moment. I feel concerned, he admitted finally. Not for myself, for my squadron. If this is something from that mining facility, they may also be affected. That's a valid concern, Hana said, making a note on her tablet. We should arrange for them to be examined as soon as possible. Yes, Deho agreed, though they will complain even more than I did. This brought a small laugh from Hana. I'll be sure to tell them their captain set a poor example. For the first time, Deho's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. The expression looked fearsome on his reptilian face, but Hana wasn't intimidated. The analysis machine beeped, drawing Hana's attention. She studied the results, her expression changing from curiosity to shock. What is it? Deho asked. Before Hana could answer, Dr. Jin returned, his face grave. I've spoken with the science division, he said. The mining facility on Kepler 22b was extracting a rare mineral called nexilium. Deho's entire body tensed. Nexilium? That's impossible. Nexilium was the power source used by the Nexus forces during the conflict. All known deposits were destroyed decades ago. Apparently not all, Dr. Jin said grimly. The Coalition discovered a new deposit on Kepler 22b 5 years ago. They established the mining facility in secret. Why wasn't I informed? Deho demanded, smoke curling from his nostrils. My squadron had a right to know what we were being exposed to. I agree, Dr. Jin said. It was a serious breach of protocol. But right now we need to focus on treatment. Hana stepped forward, holding her tablet. Dr. Jin, you need to see this. The molecular analysis shows something unexpected. The doctor took the tablet, his eyes widening as he read the results. This can't be right. Run it again. I already did, Hana said. 3 times. What is it? Deho asked, his voice rumbling with impatience. Dr. Jin looked up at the dragon warrior, his expression a mixture of amazement and concern. The crystalline structures in your tissue. They're not just nexilium. They've bonded with your cellular structure in a way I've never seen before. They're evolving. Evolving? Deho repeated. What does that mean? It means, Hana explained, that the nexilium isn't just causing damage. It's changing your cells, integrating with them, Dr. Jin nodded. And here's the most remarkable part. The affected cells show signs of increased energy production and accelerated healing capabilities. If we could control this process, harness it somehow, you're saying this infection could be beneficial? Deho asked skeptically. Potentially, Dr. Jin said, but right now it's growing too rapidly and without direction. That's why you're experiencing pain and numbness. The changes are happening too quickly for your body to adapt. Hana suddenly straightened, her eyes bright with realization. Wait, Nexilium was the Nexus Force's power source, right? And Captain Kim fought against them during the Nexus conflict. Yes, Deho confirmed. My first battles were against the Nexus. Were you ever injured by their weapons? Hana asked urgently. Deho's eyes narrowed. Many times. Their energy weapons left burns that took weeks to heal, even with our natural regeneration. That's it, Hana exclaimed. Your body was exposed to nexilium radiation during the war. It created antibodies or some kind of cellular memory. When you were exposed again at the mining facility, your body recognized it. Dr. Jin's eyes widened. Instead of rejecting it completely, your immune system is trying to integrate it. That's why the reaction is different from standard radiation poisoning. Can you use this to help him? Hana asked. Dr. Jin thought for a moment. Possibly. If we can isolate the mechanism that's allowing the integration and enhance it, we might be able to control the process. He turned to Deho. With your permission, Captain, I'd like to try an experimental treatment. The dragon warrior studied the 2 humans carefully. What would this treatment involve? We would inject you with a serum containing modified versions of your own cells, ones that have successfully integrated with the nexilium, Dr. Jin explained. These cells would essentially teach the rest of your body how to properly bond with the mineral instead of fighting it. The risk? Deho asked bluntly. Dr. Jin and Hana exchanged glances. We don't know, Hana admitted honestly. This is unprecedented. The treatment could accelerate the integration process too quickly, causing system-wide failure. Or it could work exactly as we hope. Deho was silent for a long moment, his yellow eyes unreadable. Finally, he spoke. My people have a saying. A warrior who fears death has already died. I will try your treatment. Dr. Jin nodded. We'll begin preparations immediately. Nurse Park, please assist me. As they worked, Deho watched them with growing curiosity. These humans, so fragile compared to his own kind, moved with purpose and determination. They showed no fear in the face of the unknown. Perhaps he thought they were warriors too in their own way. I have a question, he said suddenly. If this treatment works, if my body successfully integrates with the Nexilium, what will happen to me? Hana paused in her work. We don't know exactly. Based on the cellular changes we're seeing, you might experience enhanced strength, faster healing, possibly even increased energy projection abilities. You mean my fire breath would become stronger? Potentially, Dr. Jin said. But there's something else you should know. He hesitated, then continued. If this works for you, it could work for others who fought in the Nexus conflict. This discovery could change everything we know about treating veterans exposed to Nexilium radiation. Deho's eyes widened slightly. You mean I would not be the only one? No, Hana said softly. You would be the first. The pioneer, but not the last. For the first time since entering the medical bay, Deho felt something stir within him, something he hadn't felt in many years. Purpose. Not just as a warrior, but as something more than let us begin, he said. I have waited long enough. The treatment room hummed with energy as Dr. Jin made final preparations. The space was larger than the examination room, designed to accommodate patients of all species in the coalition. Even so, Deho's massive form dominated the central medical platform. The serum is ready, Dr. Jin announced, holding up a vial of glowing blue liquid. We've isolated the cells that have successfully bonded with the Nexilium and enhanced them with a growth accelerator. Hana checked Deho's vital signs on the monitor. Heart rate elevated but within normal range for a draconian. Respiratory function stable. Deho lay still, his wings carefully extended on special supports. The purple spot on his left wing seemed to pulse slightly under the bright lights. Before we begin, Dr. Jin said, approaching the dragon warrior, I want to be clear about what to expect. This treatment will likely cause intense sensations as the serum spreads through your system. You may experience pain, burning, or unusual energy fluctuations. I understand, Deho replied calmly. Pain is familiar to me, Doctor. Dr. Jin nodded and prepared a large injection device. We'll administer the serum directly into the affected area. From there, it should spread throughout your body. Hana moved to stand near Deho's head. I'll be monitoring your vital signs throughout the process. If anything seems wrong, we'll stop immediately. Do not stop, Deho said firmly. No matter what happens. That is an order, Hana frowned. Captain, with all due respect, this isn't a military operation. Your safety is our primary concern. The dragon's yellow eyes fixed on her. My safety has never been guaranteed, Nurse Park. Not in 30 years of service. I did not survive this long by retreating when things became difficult. Before Hana could respond, Dr. Jin positioned the injection device over the purple spot. Ready? He asked. Deho gave a single nod. Proceed. The device made a soft hissing sound as it delivered the serum into the dragon's wing. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Deho's entire body tensed, his claws digging into the padded platform. Captain? Hana asked, alarmed by the sudden spike in his vital signs. It burns? Deho growled, his voice deeper than before. Like fire, but colder. Dr. Jin watched intently as the area around the injection site began to glow with a faint blue light. The purple discoloration seemed to be changing, the edges becoming more defined rather than spreading further. The serum is working, he said. The modified cells are bonding with the affected tissue. Deho's breathing became labored, small puffs of smoke escaping with each exhale. The monitors showed his heart rate climbing rapidly. His core temperature is rising, Hana reported, concern evident in her voice. 105. On 10. 115 degrees. Is that dangerous for a draconian? Dr. Jin asked, never taking his eyes off the spreading blue glow. Their normal body temperature is higher than humans, but this is approaching their fever threshold, Hana said. Captain, how are you feeling? Deho didn't answer immediately. His eyes were closed, his massive chest rising and falling rapidly. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded strained. Something is happening. I can feel it, spreading through my blood. The blue glow had now extended beyond the original purple spot, tracing delicate patterns along the veins in his wing. It reminded Hana of rivers seen from high above, branching and flowing across the landscape. The Nexilium is integrating with his circulatory system, Dr. Jin said, his voice filled with wonder. It's following the natural pathways of his body. Suddenly, Daeho let out a roar that shook the medical equipment. His eyes flew open, but they were no longer yellow. They glowed with the same blue light that now raced through his veins. "Captain," Hana called out, moving closer despite the danger.
Can you hear me? I
"Hear you," Daeho replied, his voice overlaid with a strange harmonic quality. "But I hear other things as well. Voices, memories." Dr. Jin exchanged a worried glance with Hana. "What kind of memories, Captain?" "The war," Daeho said, his glowing eyes unfocused. "The Nexus conflict, but not just my memories. Others, soldiers, civilians, both sides." The blue light had now spread to his other wing and was working its way across his chest and down his powerful limbs. His scales seemed to absorb the glow, becoming more vibrant, more alive. "This is unexpected," Dr. Jin murmured. "The Nexilium must contain some kind of collective memory. Perhaps that's why the Nexus forces were so coordinated in battle." "Is he in danger?" Hana asked quietly. Before Dr. Jin could answer, Daeho spoke again. "I understand now. The Nexilium. It wasn't just a power source. It was a connection, a network linking all who used it." His voice was stronger now, the pain seemingly forgotten. The monitor showed his vital signs stabilizing, though still elevated above normal. "The Nexus forces weren't evil," Daeho continued. "They were desperate. Their homeworld was dying. They needed new worlds to survive." "Captain, how do you know this?" Dr. Jin asked, fascinated. "I can see it, feel it. The Nexilium carries memories, emotions, knowledge." Daeho turned his glowing blue eyes to the doctor. "The mineral doesn't just store energy. It stores experience." Hana checked the monitors again. "His brain activity is off the charts. Multiple regions activating simultaneously." "The integration is complete," Dr. Jin observed. "The blue glow has spread throughout his entire body." Indeed, Daeho's emerald scales now shimmered with an underlying blue luminescence, most noticeable in the thin membranes of his wings. The original purple spot had completely transformed, now appearing as a perfect circular pattern of intricate blue lines. "How do you feel now, Captain?" Hana asked. Daeho flexed his wings carefully, then his claws. "Different, stronger, more aware." He took a deep breath, and when he exhaled, instead of smoke, a small jet of blue flame emerged. Dr. Jin stepped back involuntarily. "Fascinating. The Nexilium has enhanced your natural fire-breathing ability." "Not just that," Daeho said. He closed his eyes for a moment, concentrating. When he opened them again, he looked directly at Hana. "Your grandfather was named Jiho Park. He was a diplomat who helped negotiate the human entry into the coalition. He died 3 years ago. You keep his picture in your quarters." Hana's eyes widened in shock. "How could you possibly know that?" "I never told you his name." "I don't know how I know," Daeho admitted. "The information is just there, as if I've always known it." Dr. Jin approached cautiously. "Captain, it seems the Nexilium has enhanced your cognitive abilities as well, possibly giving you access to information you shouldn't have." "Not just information," Daeho said. "Connection. I can sense others. Other veterans who were exposed to Nexilium radiation during the war." "You can sense them?" Hana asked. "Like telepathy?" "Not exactly. More like awareness. I know they exist. I can feel their presence like distant stars in the night sky." Daeho's expression became troubled. "Some of them are suffering. The Nexilium is affecting them differently." Dr. Jin quickly made notes on his tablet. "This could explain why some veterans of the Nexus conflict have experienced mysterious illnesses over the years. If they were exposed to Nexilium radiation and their bodies are trying to integrate it without success, we need to help them," Daeho said firmly. He sat up, his movements more fluid and graceful than before. "I can find them. Guide them." "Captain, wait," Hana said, placing a hand on his massive arm without thinking. "You've just undergone a major physical transformation. We need to run tests, make sure you're stable." Daeho looked down at her small hand on his scaled arm. In the past, such familiarity from a human would have been unthinkable. Now it felt right somehow. There is no time for tests, he said, though his voice was gentle. Others are suffering as I was. But now I have the knowledge to help them. Dr. Jin stepped forward. Captain Kim, I understand your urgency, but Nurse Park is right. We need to document what's happened to you. This discovery could change our understanding of Nexilium and its effects on living organisms. Daeho considered this for a moment. Very well. 1 day of tests, no more. Then I must go to them. Go to who exactly? Hana asked. The others like me. Veterans of the Nexus conflict. Those who were exposed and survived. Daeho's glowing blue eyes seemed to look beyond the walls of the medical station. They are scattered across the galaxy. Some don't even know why they're sick, but I can find them now. Dr. Jin and Hana exchanged glances, both realizing the same thing. What had started as a routine medical examination had become something much bigger. Something that could change the Coalition forever. One more question, Captain, Dr. Jin said. The memories you're accessing from the Nexilium, do they include technological information? Weapons, power systems? Daeho nodded slowly. Yes, everything the Nexus forces knew. Their science, their culture, their history. He paused, understanding the doctor's concern. Knowledge that could be dangerous in the wrong hands, or beneficial in the right ones, Hana added softly. Indeed, Daeho agreed, which is why what happens next is so important. He stood to his full height, his wings extending to their full span, glowing with blue energy. The war never truly ended, did it? It just changed form. And in that moment, standing in the treatment room with his scales shimmering with ancient power, Captain Daeho Kim looked less like a patient and more like what he truly was, a warrior preparing for a new kind of battle. 3 days later, the Coalition High Command gathered in an emergency session. The large circular chamber buzzed with tense conversations as representatives from 12 different species discussed the shocking developments. Admiral Tay, a stern-faced human with silver hair, stood at the central podium. Beside him, looking remarkably different than he had just days before, stood Captain Daeho Kim. The dragon warrior's scales now shimmered with a constant blue glow. The effect was most dramatic along his wings, where intricate patterns traced every vein and membrane. His eyes, once yellow, now radiated the same blue energy. This meeting will come to order, Admiral Tay announced, his voice cutting through the noise. The room gradually fell silent, all eyes turning to the transformed Draconian. As you've all been briefed, Captain Kim has undergone a remarkable change following exposure to Nexilium at the mining facility on Kepler 22b, the Admiral continued. Dr. Jin and Nurse Park from Medical Station 7 will explain the scientific details. Dr. Jin stepped forward, looking tired but excited. Thank you, Admiral. Over the past 3 days, we've conducted extensive tests on Captain Kim. The results are nothing short of revolutionary. He activated a holographic display showing detailed scans of Daeho's body. The Nexilium has fully integrated with his cellular structure. It's not just in his bloodstream, it's become part of his DNA. Murmurs spread through the chamber. A Valerian representative, her translucent skin pulsing with concern, raised a slender hand. Is this condition contagious? Should we be concerned about contamination? No, Hana answered confidently, stepping up beside Dr. Jin. The integration was only possible because Captain Kim had previous exposure to Nexilium radiation during the Nexus conflict. His body had already developed a unique response to the mineral. And what are the effects of this integration? Asked a Taurian general, his 4 eyes narrowing with suspicion. Dr. Jin nodded to Daeho, who stepped forward. The dragon warrior spread his wings slightly, causing several representatives to lean back in their seats. My physical strength has increased by approximately 60%, Daeho stated matter-of-factly. My fire breath now burns at nearly twice its previous temperature. My scales are harder, my reflexes faster. He paused, his glowing eyes scanning the room. But the most significant changes are mental. I can access memories and knowledge stored within the Nexilium, information from the Nexus forces and others who used the mineral. This is deeply concerning, the Taurian general rumbled. You have access to enemy intelligence from a war that ended decades ago? Yes, Daeho acknowledged. But I've also gained something more important, awareness of others like me. Admiral Tay nodded. This is why we've called this meeting. Captain Kim has identified 247 veterans across the Coalition, who were exposed to Nexilium during the conflict and are now suffering from similar conditions. Hana stepped forward again. Many of these veterans have been experiencing mysterious symptoms for years. Symptoms our medical teams couldn't properly diagnose because we didn't know what to look for. And now you want to, turn them all into glowing super soldiers? The question came from a skeptical Meridian diplomat. We want to help them, Deho said firmly. Many are suffering. Some are dying. Their bodies are trying to integrate with the Nexilium but failing. With the treatment Dr. Jin and Nurse Park developed, we can save them. Admiral Tay raised a hand to quiet the rising murmurs. The Coalition Council has reviewed this situation carefully. After much debate, we've authorized a special operation. Captain Kim will lead a team to locate these affected veterans and offer them treatment. And if they refuse? Asked the Valerian representative. Then we respect their choice, Deho answered. This must be voluntary. But having experienced the pain of partial integration myself, I believe most will accept our help. Dr. Jin activated another holographic display showing a map of the galaxy, with glowing dots marking the locations of the affected veterans. As you can see, they're scattered across Coalition space. Some are still in active service, others have retired. They represent 8 different species who fought alongside each other during the Nexus conflict. Hana pointed to several clusters on the map. We've identified 3 priority regions where multiple veterans are showing advanced symptoms. Captain Kim's team will start there. And who exactly will be on this team? The Taurian general demanded. Admiral Tay gestured to the back of the chamber, where a group of individuals waited quietly. We've assembled specialists in various fields: medical professionals, scientists, security personnel. Nurse Park has volunteered to lead the medical team. Hana nodded, her expression determined. Over the past 3 days, she had worked tirelessly with Dr. Jin, studying the changes in Deho's body and helping develop protocols for treating others. There's one more thing you should know, Deho said, his voice taking on a deeper resonance. The Nexilium doesn't just store energy and information. It creates connections between those who carry it. He closed his glowing eyes for a moment, concentrating. The blue patterns on his scales brightened noticeably. Right now I can sense them, all 247. Their pain, their confusion. Some don't understand what's happening to them. Others have hidden their symptoms, fearing they would be seen as weak or dangerous. When he opened his eyes again, they burned with intensity. We fought together once to save the Coalition. Now we must help them fight a new battle, one against time and their own bodies. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then slowly, the Meridian diplomat rose to her feet. I served in the medical corps during the final years of the Nexus conflict, she said quietly. I treated soldiers from all Coalition species. If what you say is true, if veterans are suffering, then you have my support. One by one, other representatives nodded or voiced their agreement. Even the skeptical Taurian general gave a reluctant nod. Very well, Admiral Tay said. Operation Nexus Healing is approved. Captain Kim, your team will depart tomorrow at 600 hours. Your first destination is the Arcturus system, where we've identified 5 affected veterans. As the meeting adjourned, Hana approached Deho. How are you feeling about all this? The dragon warrior looked down at her, his expression softening slightly. Strange. 3 days ago, I was just a captain nearing retirement. Now you're leading a mission that could change everything. Hana finished for him. Yes, but I'm not doing it alone. Deho's gaze moved to the team assembled at the back of the room. Scientists, doctors, security specialists, all preparing for a journey into the unknown. No, you're not, Hana agreed. Though I have to admit, when I transferred to Medical Station 7, I didn't expect to end up traveling across the galaxy with a glowing dragon. This brought a rumbling chuckle from Deho. And I didn't expect a human nurse to change my life when I reluctantly reported a small purple spot on my wing. Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Jin, who approached with a concerned expression. Captain, I've been analyzing your latest scans. The Nexilium in your system is still evolving, still changing your cellular structure. Is that dangerous? Hana asked, immediately concerned. Not necessarily, Dr. Jin said. But it means we don't fully understand the long-term effects. As you connect with other veterans, as more of them undergo the treatment, the network between you may grow stronger. Deho considered this information. You're worried about what we might become. I'm cautious, Dr. Jin corrected. This is uncharted territory. The Nexilium was the foundation of the Nexus Force's power. They were formidable enemies. And now that same power will help heal those who fought against them, Hana pointed out. There's a certain poetry to that, Deho nodded. The Nexus Forces weren't evil, just desperate. Their world was dying. They saw conquest as their only option for survival. How do you know that? Dr. Jin asked. The memories in the Nexilium, Deho explained. I can see fragments of their history, their struggle. Perhaps understanding our former enemies is another unexpected gift of this transformation. As they walked toward the hangar where their ship waited, Deho suddenly stopped, his head tilting as if listening to something only he could hear. What is it? Hana asked. One of them just died, Deho said quietly, his glowing eyes dimming slightly. A Valerian pilot on Proxima Centauri 2. I felt her pain. Then nothing. Hana placed a gentle hand on his arm. Then we need to move quickly. Others are still waiting for our help. Deho straightened, his wings folding tightly against his back with new resolve. Yes, we have no time to waste. As they continued toward the hangar, crew members and officers stopped to stare at the glowing dragon warrior and his human companion. Some looked afraid, others curious, but all seemed to sense that they were witnessing the beginning of something momentous. What had started as a simple medical examination had become a mission that would touch hundreds of lives across the galaxy. And for Captain Deho Kim and Nurse Hana Park, it was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey. The Coalition vessel Healing Light dropped out of hyperspace near the Arcturus system. It was a mid-sized medical frigate, hastily refitted for their special mission. On the bridge, Captain Deho Kim stood before the main viewport, his glowing blue form reflected in the transparent surface. 5 veterans in this system, he said. His eyes closed in concentration. I can sense them more clearly now that we're closer. 3 on the main colony world, 1 on the mining moon and 1 on a remote research station. Hana checked the medical equipment one last time. Over the past week she had barely slept, helping prepare everything they would need for the treatments. Which one should we visit first? Deho opened his eyes, now burning brighter than ever. The research station. That veteran is in the most pain. Her name is Minji Cho, a Valerian scientist. She was a weapons specialist during the war. Admiral Tay, who had decided to accompany them on this first mission, nodded. Set course for the research station, he ordered the pilot. As the ship changed direction, Hana moved closer to Deho. How much can you tell about her condition? The Nexilium is concentrated in her nervous system, Deho replied. It's causing intense pain, especially in her light-sensing organs. Valerians perceive radiation differently than other species. The integration is affecting her vision. Dr. Jin, who was studying data on a tablet, looked up with interest. That makes sense. Valerian optical systems are highly sensitive to energy fluctuations. The Nexilium would naturally migrate to those tissues. The research station came into view, a sleek structure orbiting a small moon. It was painted with the blue and white colors of the Coalition Science Division. They're hailing us, the communications officer reported. Put them through, Admiral Tay ordered. A holographic image appeared of a tall, slender Valerian female. Her translucent skin showed visible blue lines running beneath the surface, similar to the patterns on Deho's scales, but less organized, more chaotic. This is Dr. Minji Cho, she said, her voice strained. I was told to expect you. She squinted, clearly struggling to see. Is it true? Have you found a treatment? Yes. Deho stepped forward, his glowing form immediately capturing her attention. Dr. Cho, I am Captain Kim. I was the first to undergo the complete integration. Minji's eyes widened. I can see you. Differently than the others. You're radiant. The Nexilium in your system is responding to mine, Deho explained. We're connected through it. That's how I knew you were here and how serious your condition is. Then you know I don't have much time. Minji said quietly. The pain is becoming unbearable. My colleagues don't understand what's happening to me. Admiral Tay spoke up. Dr. Cho, we have a medical team ready to administer the treatment. With your permission, we'll dock at your station. Please, Minji said, relief evident in her voice. Come quickly. 30 minutes later, they had set up a temporary treatment area in the station's medical bay. Minji lay on an examination table, her slender body trembling slightly. Up close, the blue lines under her skin looked angry and inflamed. How long have you been experiencing symptoms? Hana asked as she prepared the equipment. It started about a year ago, Minji replied. Just small flashes of blue in my vision at first. Then pain. Memory flashes from the war. Things I couldn't possibly know. She turned her head toward Daeho. You understand, don't you? The dragon warrior nodded. The Nexilium carries memories. Knowledge. When it enters our bodies, it brings those memories with it. I've seen their world, Minji whispered. The Nexus homeworld dying, oceans boiling away. Atmosphere thinning. Billions dying. A tear slid down her translucent cheek. We called them monsters, but they were just trying to survive. Dr. Jin checked her vital signs. Your body is fighting the integration. That's why you're in pain. The treatment will help your cells accept the Nexilium properly. Will I change, like him? Minji asked, looking at Daeho's glowing form. Yes, Hana answered honestly, but each species responds differently. The changes will be unique to your biology. Minji took a deep breath. I'm ready. Hana administered the serum, injecting it directly into the largest concentration of blue lines on Minji's neck. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Valerian gasped, her back arching off the table. It's working, Daeho said, watching intently. I can feel the connection growing stronger. The chaotic blue lines under Minji's skin began to shift, reorganizing themselves into more symmetrical patterns. Her translucent body started to glow from within, softly at first, then with increasing brightness. Vital signs stabilizing, Dr. Jin reported, watching the monitors. Heart rate normalizing. Brain activity extraordinary. Minji's eyes flew open. They had changed from their natural pale green to a luminous blue, similar to Daeho's. She sat up slowly, looking at her hands in wonder as the glow settled into a steady radiance. The pain, she whispered. It's gone. She looked up at Daeho, then at Hana and Dr. Jin. I can see everything. Energy patterns, radiation fields, things I never could before. Daeho stepped closer. The Nexilium has enhanced your natural abilities. For Valerians, that includes radiation perception. Minji nodded, then suddenly froze. I can feel them too. The others. So many, her expression became troubled. Some are suffering terribly. That's why we're here, Hana said gently. To help them just like we helped you. Minji stood up, her movements more fluid and graceful than before. Then I'm coming with you. My research can wait. This is more important. Admiral Tay, who had been observing quietly, stepped forward. Dr. Cho, your expertise would be valuable to our mission. But are you sure you're ready? The treatment was just completed. I've never been more ready for anything in my life, Minji replied with conviction. For a year I've been in agony, not understanding what was happening to me. Now I know. Now I can help others. Daeho nodded approvingly. The connection between us will grow stronger with each veteran we help. Together we can reach them all. Over the next 3 days, they treated the remaining 4 veterans in the Arcturus system. Each responded differently to the integration. A Taurian engineer named Junho, whose forearms became capable of manipulating energy fields directly. A human pilot, Su-min, whose reflexes became so enhanced she could perceive time differently during moments of stress. A Meridian diplomat, Taeyeon, who developed the ability to sense emotions with unprecedented accuracy. And a draconian warrior like Daeho, named Hyun-woo, whose scales took on a deeper blue glow and whose fire breath could now burn cold instead of hot. Each joined their growing team, eager to help others who suffered as they had. On the 7th day of their mission, as they prepared to jump to the next system, Daeho gathered everyone in the ship's conference room. Something is changing, he announced. As our network grows, as more minds join the Nexilium connection, I'm beginning to see a larger pattern. What kind of pattern? Admiral Tay asked. Daeho activated the room's holographic projector. A 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, with glowing blue dots representing each treated veteran. The Nexilium isn't just a mineral or an energy source, he explained. It's a communication network. The Nexus forces used it to coordinate their actions across vast distances, but they only understood part of its potential. Minji stepped forward, her glowing form moving gracefully through the holographic display. He's right. I've been analyzing the data from my own transformation. The Nexilium doesn't just store information, it transmits it instantly, across any distance. Faster than light communication without technology, Dr. Jin murmured. That would revolutionize everything. More than that, Hyunwoo added, his deep voice rumbling. We're not just connected to each other. We're connected to the past, to the knowledge of the Nexus civilization. Hana looked around at the transformed veterans, each glowing with blue energy, each changed in unique ways. What does this mean for the coalition? For all of us? Daeho's expression was solemn. It means we have a choice to make. The Nexus conflict ended decades ago, but its legacy lives on, in us. We can use this connection, this knowledge, to help build something new. A bridge, Minji said softly, between what was and what could be. Admiral Tae studied the glowing beings before him. They were still the same people, a dragon warrior, a Valerian scientist, a human pilot, and others. But they had become something more. Something unprecedented. There are still 238 veterans waiting for our help, he reminded them. That must remain our priority. Of course, Daeho agreed. But as we help them, as our network grows, we must also prepare for what comes next. And what is that exactly? Hana asked. Daeho looked at her, his glowing blue eyes gentle. A new beginning. The Nexus forces sought new worlds because their home was dying. What if we could help them? What if we could heal worlds instead of conquering them? The room fell silent as everyone considered his words. What had begun as a medical mystery, a strange purple spot on a dragon's wing, had become something far greater, a chance to transform an ancient conflict into a new opportunity. It won't be easy, Admiral Tae cautioned. There will be fear, resistance. Not everyone will understand what you've become. Then we will show them, Daeho said simply. Not through force, but through healing. One veteran at a time, one world at a time. As the healing light prepared to jump to its next destination, Hana stood beside Daeho on the bridge. Behind them, their growing team of transformed veterans worked together, their glowing forms moving in harmony. When I first examined that spot on your wing, Hana said quietly, I never imagined where it would lead. Daeho's mouth curved in that dragon smile that had once seemed fearsome but now felt familiar. Sometimes the greatest journeys begin with the smallest steps, or in my case, with a reluctant medical examination. The stars stretched into lines as the ship entered hyperspace, carrying them toward more veterans waiting to be healed, more connections waiting to be formed, and a future bright with possibilities that no one could have predicted. What had started as a simple spot had become a beacon of hope for an entire galaxy.